Hi there, and welcome to the High Performance Life. And today I want to talk to you about a topic that I have a lot of conversations about. I've been having a lot of conversations about this topic throughout my entire career as a performance psychologist, and probably something that's familiar to all of you. And the topic is really about this thing, this magical thing that we call confidence. And I'd like to share with you potentially a couple of different ways of looking at confidence and understanding it in ways that you can leverage it and or disregard it as important to your performance. I was having a conversation today with an executive client of mine who runs a business. I've also had many conversations with professional and Olympic athletes around this topic of confidence. And what I've noticed over the years is that confidence often gets misunderstood and therefore misused and leaves people, when they're lacking confidence, in a place of diminished performance capability. Not because they actually don't have the capability in that moment, but because of something else. So let's unpack this, and it'll be there for you or for anybody at any moment when you've ever felt a little bit of self-doubt, a little bit nervous, maybe lacking a little bit of confidence, and your first thought is, I wish I was just a little bit more confident. Or maybe someone has said to you, you'd be great, you just need to be more confident. So let's talk about confidence. What is it and what is it not? And do we really need it? And that's the really key piece here, is we want to understand what are the most important things we need to focus on to achieve high performance in our lives. Whether you're that executive running your own business, whether you are an athlete trying to achieve the most in your sport, or whether you're running a family and you're just trying to keep a hold of all the stressors going on in your life. So from this perspective, let's start talking about what is confidence and where does it come from? Well, first of all, confidence. Is it something you just need to get more of to be good? And my first answer to that is no. Have you ever been in that position where someone said, hey, you'll be okay if you just get your confidence up? Yeah, thanks, coach. Thanks, boss. Yeah, I'll just go to the confidence shop and buy me some confidence and put it in the system. And then I'll be fine. Just get some confidence. Or maybe they try to do it for you. They pump up your tires. They tell you good things about you. Hey, you're good enough. You're talented. And those things can help a little bit, and they're nice to hear, and we feel that they're good, but they don't often solve the problem of doubt and worry that comes in when you're lacking confidence. And so someone tells you you're good enough, then you get out there into that business meeting or that sales pitch or onto the football pitch, and you're still struggling with that lack of confidence, and you're not performing so well. So this thing is that you can't just go and get confidence. That's number one. You can't just go and get it. But the more important thing is you don't actually need it. And there are times, depending on the situation, on the circumstances, where it'd be weird if you were really confident, or we could say it that it's predictable that you wouldn't be confident. And that happens when something's new. Now, it's much more obvious when you're a beginner. So if you're a beginner at something, you don't expect yourself to be confident. So if you're a beginner in a sales team, you've just started in your job, we don't expect you to be all full of confidence walking into that first sales discussion with a client. Now, you might have some transferable skills that you're not recognizing. So perhaps like me, you worked in a bar or a restaurant where you were doing sales in terms of selling people what's on the menu. And so in a way, you already had some transferable skills. But even then, if you have some transferable skills, there's something new about this environment. You've never been in a sales meeting, say, selling IT services or software, or in real estate, or something's new to you. It'd be strange if you're confident, because confidence is really that kind of belief and feeling that you can do something. And it's really going to be based on past experience. So if you don't have past experience, it'd be weird if you're full of confidence. Now, one of the more subtle areas where confidence is predictable to be absent is when there's something new, but you have expertise in this area. So when I've worked with, say, professional footballers, or when I've worked with business executives who have worked in corporate environments and they're now out on their own, what happens often is that they feel like they should know what's going on in this scenario. They've got the skills, they've got the expertise, they've been here before, but what they're not recognizing is there's something new about that environment. So for the footballer, if you've been on a team that's never made the finals before and you get into your first final and you walk out onto the ground for the first time in front of a crowd of 100,000 people at a major stadium, and yes, during the season, some of your games were like that, but nothing like the pressure cooker of being in a finals or maybe even a preliminary final where you're about to make the ultimate grand final. It'd be weird if you're full of confidence because you just haven't experienced that kind of moment. Yes, you played football. Yes, you have experience. Yes, you know how to play the game, but there's something new and intense and high pressure about going into finals you haven't experienced yet. It would be totally predictable for you to have some self-doubt at that moment. It's the same thing for someone who's running their own business, stepped out of working in a corporate environment, and they want to go into that first big client meeting. They don't have the backing of the corporate. They don't have the brand. They didn't get introduced. There are things that are occurring in that environment. Yes, they've been in plenty of customer relationship conversations and discussions, but there's something about doing it with your own brand, your own business you haven't done before. Once again, it's predictable to have some self-doubt and perhaps lack some confidence here. So the thing is, whether you're a beginner, an absolute beginner, where it's really normal and expected not to have confidence, or whether you have some expertise already, but there's something new about the situation or the environment where it's predictable to have some self-doubt or lack of confidence, the question is not whether you need confidence or not. The question is, what do you need to do when you're not feeling confident? That's the key. Because what I've noticed over the years working with some of the top performers in the world in business and sport is that they have gone on to perform at times when they really were nervous, anxious, lacked confidence in that moment. Yet they went on to perform brilliantly. And it got me to realize confidence is not what leads you to performance. Now, confidence is a great facilitator. Don't get me wrong. It's really helpful. It's really nice to be there. It's not the thing, however, that delivers performance. It's probably something that makes it a bit smoother. So when you're confident, you don't have distractions. You don't have this negative thought pattern going in your mind that potentially, distracts you from focusing on the key actions you need to take. It doesn't undermine your effort in those moments when you're confident. And that's where negative thinking, lack of self-confidence, doubt can come in, is it disrupts things. But you don't have to let it. And let's talk about what that looks like. So unpacking what really confidence is what we want to look at now. And I've got my whiteboard here to unpack it. So first of all, let's talk about what it takes to achieve success in anything. And it's definitely not a feeling. It's not how you feel inside. It's not even a belief. We're not saying those things aren't important, but that's not what leads to ultimate success. To achieve any goal, the most important thing is simply taking the right action. It might be your sales process. If you're a footballer, it might be how you line up to kick a goal. It's an action-based. You have to run as a footballer. You have to tackle. You have to do a lot of things that are just about actions. If you didn't do those things, no success. Now, of course, you have to train to be able to execute on the right action under pressure. And so to be proficient at action, we need focus, effort, discipline. So discipline is that repetition of training. And when you can give 100% of your focus and 100% of your effort to the key actions, and you can repeat them through discipline over time, then you take those into your performance scenario. Now, this might be your key client meeting, could be sales, it could be game day if you're in sport. So you take all that action that you've practiced, focused, effort, and discipline, and you take it into your performance scenario. And then there is an outcome. And that outcome is either a win, a success, a sale, or a loss. Now, that's the first time you go through this cycle. Now, the outcome leads to an emotion, which is pretty normal. Generally, we're pretty happy with the wins. We feel excited, and we're disappointed or potentially discouraged with the losses. And that's normal. That's part of being human. The thing is, what got us to either the win or the loss is what's over here, is the action. Not the emotional outcome. And I can tell you what confidence really is over time, if you get enough of these wins, collectively you start to have a repetitive emotion of positive feeling that gets tied to a belief. So it's a positive emotion tied to a belief in reflecting on your process and the outcome and your performance, where you say, I think if I keep doing this, I could succeed again in the future. And that's confidence. It's an emotional belief, emotion-based memory of the process you've been through with tied to a positive outcome. It comes after everything. It doesn't come before. Focus, effort, and discipline on the right actions, what creates performance, what creates outcomes. Confidence is a reflective process or a reflection on all of this. All we need to do is deliver on this and this. That's what delivers us results. But because this goes in circle and this is a memory, we start to have this memory and feeling prior to our next training session, prior to our next sales meeting, prior to our next sales process. And so it feels like, because now we have this general memory, this feeling of confidence, of belief, it starts to feel like that's what leads to the positive result. It's not. It never did. These are the things that led to the positive result, or the negative. Now, if we go down the negative for a moment, when you have a negative result, especially if you have a couple of them, clearly you're going to get more doubt in there. And the problem with doubt and discouragement is that it undermines, and it does this to begin with. It undermines focus, effort, and discipline, and usually just subtly. So you might still be thinking you're training hard, or you're practicing well, or you're going well into those client meetings, but you might just be not following up as quickly with your emails. You might sort of leave one of those extra added bonus type follow-up calls till the next day. You do little things that are undermining because of this doubt. And so this is lack of confidence, and doubt can undermine these things. But it's the undermining of these, it's the lack of delivering on these 100% that leads to future self-fulfilling prophecy of more negative results. It's not that itself, it's that we didn't know how to deal with this. We didn't know how to deal with a lack of confidence. And I mean, ultimately, what can sometimes happen on a negative side on terms of the belief and positive confidence, I've said it's facilitative, but there are cases where people have this process going so well, they get overconfident. And that overconfidence means that the brain goes, oh, I don't have to try as hard. I don't have to give as much focus or effort or discipline to my training and my actions. And then performance drops and we get to a loss. So it's not your feelings and your memory of confidence that leads to outcomes. It's how you respond to them. It's being able to use either one of those as a trigger to get focused effort and discipline back on your actions. Now, clearly, if you have a lot of repetitive negatives, you want to go back and analyze this and say, okay, failure is feedback. Do I need to tweak something? Do I need to get a mentor? Do I need to talk something about the way I'm going about, achieving our strategic objectives? Or maybe I just have to realize that I'm doing everything right here and it just takes time. I'm a beginner in this scenario. It's going to take time before I have that breakthrough. Or maybe what I have to acknowledge is that in my desperation, I've been pushing too hard and my energy is really low and I haven't been able to give 100% effort. Whatever it may be, these failures aren't a reason to undermine this, which can happen unconsciously or unintentionally. We want to deliberately make failures a reason just to check in on this. We also want to make successes a reason to reinforce this regardless of future negatives or negative outcomes. But successes reinforce this, but not to get complacent. Keep checking in. Do we have the right action plan? Check with your mentors. Reflect on the process. Make sure it's as good as it can be. So when you get all this, you're going to get that you don't need confidence to succeed. We just want to use any feeling, lack of confidence or full confidence, as a trigger to make sure that we're getting our process, our focus, our effort, discipline to action right. And when you get that right, the results will take care of themselves in the long run. Okay, that's everything for today. If you liked our video, make sure that you leave some comments or ask a question. We'll definitely get back to you. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Look us up on LinkedIn and take a look at our website, www.energyhealthinc.com. We'll see you next time.